The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Friday, February 26, 2016 are currently trading with gold at $1,222.09 an ounce, silver $14.69 an ounce, Texas crude $32.78 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 433 U.S. currency. Today in history, the year 1848. The Communist Manifesto is anonymously published by the Workers' Educational Association at 46 Liverpool Street in the City of London. Later accredited to Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, the Communist Manifesto has had profound influence on the political power structures of the world. The Communist Manifesto was first published today in history. In recent news, the State Department released another 1,500 pages of Clinton's emails, including 88 documents that were upgraded to the lowest classification level on its website Friday, tallying up the total amount thus far made public to roughly 48,500 pages. The last batch of 55,000 work-related emails is scheduled to be released on Monday in accordance with a court order. Though the 88 documents that were deemed to be classified at the confidential level, which is the lowest national security classification category, the State Department did claim that none of those emails were marked classified at the moment that Hillary Clinton had sent them. Of the 1.1 million migrants who registered as asylum seekers or refugees in Germany in 2015, a whopping 13% did not turn up to the reception centers to which they had been directed. This authorized government admission came up after a previous calculation which suggested the number of untracked refugees could be as high as 600,000. These numbers clearly reveal how the Dublin Agreement, whereby asylum seekers are supposed to be sent back to the first European Union country they entered through, has become unenforceable. With the spree of refugee-related rapes, assaults, and crime, coupled with German backlash in the form of nationalism and the desecration of mosques on the rise, it seems that Germany is in for some tough times. The IRS has announced that approximately 390,000 additional taxpayer accounts were potentially accessed via identity theft hackers. Internal Revenue will begin notifying these taxpayers by mail beginning February 29th. Notices will be sent, including free identity theft protection services with identity protection pins. The IRS is also checking into those affected taxpayers' social security numbers for extra security and will be sharing that information with tax state authorities. This has been your lowdown for February 26, 2016.
Hello, everyone. This is Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. It is Saturday, February 7th, and we are on from 2 to 4 here in lovely Austin, Texas. The sun is shining. The sky is blue. A lot of action going on here in the city of Austin, a buzz. You got Texas playing Oklahoma in basketball, and everyone's excited about that. Here at Brave New Books, Roger Stone, Trump's former campaign advisor, is going to be here from 7 till 9 p.m., so make sure you come on down for that. And yeah, we have Dr. Lisa is actually in the studio today, not with everyone else in Australia. So how's everything here in Austin, Lisa?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I am here in Austin, and I'm loving being here right now. It's really exciting. There's so much going on. I'm excited to go to this lecture tonight by Roger Stone. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, and of course we have Dave and Andrew, our time-traveling companions in Australia. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. It's 7 a.m. here. It's February 28th. And yeah, Sydney's a beautiful place. We're staying right near the beach, Coogee Beach, and had a chance to go check out yesterday a yoga studio and plenty of different vegan, health food conscious companies. And yeah, it's just kind of a lovely place to be. Very chilled out vibe. A lot of happy people. Sun is shining bright. I'm kind of in lobster status right now, but hoping that I'll soon recover from my overexposure to the beautiful sun.
That was the experience?
I think yesterday was around. I think it was around 35 to 40 degrees at the beach yesterday.
Celsius?
And we met some
Yes,
Celsius, yeah. And
in Iceland, it was that.
We met some of the Australian known poker talent at the beach, and they were telling us how the games are going these days in Sydney. So for any poker travelers, they have some pillow, and they also have some Hold'em games at the Star Casino. We may take a look at it and see how they are. But a lot of people in Australia play online. Online poker is a very big thing in Australia. And we did actually go for a bit of research in the beach communities and also Newtown in Sydney, which is further in the city, the CBD, kind of where the college areas are. And there was several incredible vegan plant-based offering restaurants. There was Superfood Sushi, which is all vegan sushi, which was pretty nice. They even list the amount of protein in their vegan sushi. Then also there was an actual vegan butcher. So it was an old butcher store that someone took over, and they provide vegan steaks. So not real steaks, just a vegan plant-based type of material food that looks like steak and sausages.
Yeah, like tofu sausages and tempeh steaks and whatnot. It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, and then we went to another place to take a look, Sadhana, which was a raw and vegan place with some type of like cooked foods, like different types of gluten, wheat-free breads and stuff, and very, very popular. They even actually close once a week for private events. So it's quite popular. But the one thing we're noticing in Sydney, it's a little bit like Melbourne, but there may be even more of these organic, local, farm, fresh growing health food stores, and attached to them they have incredible restaurants. So there's one called All About Life. They've got like 5 or 6 locations. And they had a list of, I think it was 70% organic items and 30% were local, chemical-free, locally farmed items. And the lineup was just out the door for this food, and had great juices there. One good thing about the Australian dollar is it's 7 Australian dollars for a juice, which in Austin, we're the same size in Austin. It's about $9.95 for the large green juice. US.
Do they actually have large juices in the restaurant?
They actually do have the Austin, Texas size juice at this place.
I have to say, I was just telling Ryan, I think yesterday, going all around the world, man, it's been hard to find a juice place that serves large juice the way you want it. Most of them add extra sugar, like apples and carrots. And they kind of look at you funny if you don't want any fruit in there. But I'm glad to hear that Sydney has a place where you can get sugar-free, supersized green juices.
Yeah, Sydney is known as more of the entertainment city of Australia. It's getting really large, actually. There's estimates that there's somewhere around 4 to 5 million people in Sydney. It's just growing so fast. And there's actually an article by a Australian research group where they're showing that approximately 10 million wealthy Chinese want to immigrate to Australia. So that'd be the size of, the center of Los Angeles if they could all get their paperwork together, moving in a week to Australia. And the reason why they're wanting to move, according to the research by the senior analysis, Andrew Johnston, said they want the clean environment and better education. Australia it's a country where everyone can afford to go to high school, college. These are seen as rights that every person has. And the quality of the both complementary health and the cost effectiveness of the pharmaceutical health in Australia makes it very desirable compared to a lot of countries. And you'll see that when we're walking through Bondi Junction, there's a famous area called Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, where a lot of films on surfing have been made. And there's a little bit further called Bondi Junction. There's a yoga studio, which has like hot power classes and yin classes. They have about 8-9 locations now. So the yoga movement is very much growing here, very much catching on as a complementary fitness lifestyle. You see cars around like yoga and surf lessons. You know, it's
that's cool.
Yeah,
I imagine they'd have that in Austin if they had an ocean here and a beach, but they don't. So I guess people just hang out at Barton Springs.
Yeah, but they all do that paddleboarding.
Oh, that is really popular. I've had so many people.
And
tell
they
me
do
about
yoga
it.
on paddleboard. So there's that mixture instead here.
Yep, and they're even doing, I guess you would put it like surf training at these gyms they're telling me about, where people kind of put like surfboards on the Bosu balance balls.
Oh, wow.
And then they do exercises on the balls while they're there. Yeah, this is pretty popular. I've had several people tell me about that at a couple of gyms here in Austin, that they're like experimenting with that. So
that sounds a little dangerous.
In the Bondi Junction area, you'll find like a lot of complementary health providing groups, from colonic therapies to detoxes, Chinese medicine, chiropractics. Actually, the About Life store has an incredible large naturopathic selection. They have on-staff naturopathic experts there. So Australia, for its size, has always done very, very well in sports, whether it's Olympics or national sports. It's considered a sports country. Over the weekend, everyone plays sports, recreationally. And you can see they have such an interest in the quality of their food and where their food's coming from and whether the food's going to give them that sports performance. And the local farming is really well promoted and delivered directly into the city to use as ingredients for all the different offerings at the restaurants. And we did find a raw one. It was just a raw one, Andrew. It was near Bondi Junction also.
Yeah, it was called Earth to Table. Had very much a feel of a lot of the raw restaurants I've been to in the U.S. A lot of similar dishes, cashew cheeses, macadamia cheeses, raw breads. It was a great vision. I thought that some of the other places had some slightly better tasting food, but I know that they strive to get high quality ingredients, and they seem like good people. And it was definitely a good experience.
Yeah, they're definitely marketing towards the sweet tasting. There are a lot of incredible pies and cakes and those type of things made raw, and they're using a coconut nectar as a syrup as a sweetener. Had a wonderful conversation with the owner. She's been doing this for about 8 or 9 years, and the place to speak on it is becoming more and more popular with people. And
yeah, they had actually really good cinnamon ice cream. I know it was probably sweeter than something I maybe should be consuming, but great dish.
Every once in a while, it's not too bad. You have some sweets, huh?
Yeah, especially we're on vacation here.
I think you guys are on permanent vacation. I don't know what you call that exactly, but yeah,
we just make work look easy. Like
I think it's called a good excuse.
Yeah. Yesterday I was saying I was jealous that you guys were at the beach and I'm not. But Austin's really cool, I must say. Andrew said, "Well, the ocean isn't going anywhere." And
true. Seems like it's been over there for a while.
I was like, "Well, that's true. It's just that I go places, but I'll make it out to the beach in Sydney one of these days."
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Sounds lovely.
Amazing. Sydney, it's really in comparisons. We'll talk about the Australian beaches when we get back, because when for people with tourism, they love the beaches. But not only the beach is amazing, but the potential for alternative energy for wind turbines and sea turbines supply is incredible. And we'll talk about more of that after the break.
All right. Thank you. Stay tuned for more of the show.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
Hello, this is David Burke with Andrew Lucky Chewy Littenberger, live from Sydney, Australia at 7:19 a.m. We are up with the Kookaburras. There's a song in Australia, Kookaburra laughed in the old gum tree, and they laughed it. And we're joined by our team in Austin, Texas, Dr. Elisa Wampole and Ryan Mutzel. And Andrew, they talk about the birds of Australia. There was the first explorers that came to Australia, wrote in their journals, actually considered the birds to be possessed because they were so loud. They would screech and screech. They thought like there was like maybe a wild tiger coming through, but the birds, they're not worried about wild tigers. I think it's more like the sun's coming down. Their friends are at the bird pub and they need to get some conversation down of what they got up to the day before the sun goes down and they can't see each other.
Yeah, actually, oh, go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to say, I don't think the birds are possessed. I think they're just really excited about life because they get up earlier than all the people. And, I've been woken up by birds most mornings here.
Do you have birds there that are in the background? I think I can kind of hear them.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
we heard them.
They're definitely around. I think they're excited for their opportunity to get on the Logos Radio Network.
They got on. I heard them screeching last segment.
Sure, yeah.
I was like, what is that noise in the background?
I thought they were in a pet store or something. But
Okay, well, now we know what it is. That's funny.
Yeah, and with
right there.
Oh, there they go.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I think they're like, those are parrots or they might be galars. I mean, they have incredible vocal cords, these birds in Australia, and beautiful, fabulous colors. Australia is a very, I guess because it's so isolated. I remember I had a teacher talk to me as a class on geography, and they said that, you know how old a country is by the size of the mountains on a country because the gravity pulls the rock down. And so the smaller the mountains are in the country, the older they are. And Australia doesn't have any real large mountains in comparison to something like Everest or the Himalayas. It has these little tiny ones, which are called the Blue Mountain. I mean, comparatively, they're very small. So Australia may be a very, very old continent. There's fossils of dinosaurs, stampedes in the middle of Australia. And so Australia, maybe because of its isolation, it was able to develop such incredible different types of bird species. But when we're down the beach yesterday, the waves were absolutely huge. There's a cyclone just apparently further out off the shore of Australia, so it's pushing a huge swell. And there's some major surfing competitions going on in Australia. There's always a surfing competition going on in Australia. But when you go to the beach and you see there's thousands upon thousands of people at the beach, and they're all like kind of hypnotized by the waves. And when you sit there, you can actually feel all the energy of the waves crashing. And it's just like this endless reservoir of energy coming in, crashing, coming in, crashing. So, our basic understanding of electrical engineering is we know that when we move a turbine, we can produce electricity. So you have other countries in the world. At the moment, you have UK, you have China, where they're using wind turbine energy, where it basically looks like a big windmill, and the wind rotates. This looks like a big propeller, and that moves the turbine and creates the electricity. And then also they're putting them underwater, so the waves and the currents create the rotational movement to create the turning, which creates electricity. And Australia, being an island, it has so much potential to become 100% energy independent because of the amount of wind and the amount of current energy, and then the heat reflected by the sun on the beaches. I mean, Australia, it's a very, very large country with a very small population. The amount of energy that we produce by solar panels in the middle of Australia or on some of the outer sides, beach areas of Australia would just be absolutely incredible. And it's going to be fascinating over the upcoming years. I mean, does Australia get behind the electric car movement, the electric boat movement? The gentleman who just flew a solar-powered plane glider, and a Chinese university that is releasing for $120,000 approximately. They still haven't got the exact price. They're having an electric charged small flight vehicle for people to purchase for residential. Mainly, you don't need. They won't be commercially flown. They'll be just for people who want to fly to, say, Los Angeles to Vegas. Very, very affordable, very cheap. But Australia has that potential as a country because it has such access to just the rotational inertia of the earth, the warmth of the sun, the tidal waves. So it'll be very fascinating what happens in the future with Australia as far as its energy reliance.
So wanting to become more self-sufficient, kind of like when we were all in Iceland, and pretty much the whole country was completely self-sustainable. They didn't have to rely on any, outside sources to really power themselves.
Yeah, true. And that's probably the only country in the world where I feel comfortable drinking the water out of the tap, which is a very odd thing to me to actually do. It was weird at first, right, Ryan, to kind of drink the water?
It just seems so strange, like trying to, like, don't I have to distill this first and get out all they're not poisoning in here? And it's funny, on that note, actually, we're going to have next week the guests, some of the people who helped get water fluoridation eliminated in San Marcos. We're going to have all them on the show next week.
Oh,
so
great.
that'll be exciting. We can kind of get more into water.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree with you. It's just so strange. You feel that you should just be able to go to your kitchen or your bathroom sink and drink the water. And at the end of the day, you can't do that. Once you realize what's in there and what's going on and how it affects you, you have to really take that seriously and, do your best to make sure you're putting in clean water. And you shouldn't have to do that. It's not something that people should really have to do.
No. That's why it's great that Iceland and countries like Australia, they have such amazing natural resources that self-sufficiency isn't that difficult. And it's really not that difficult in most places, to be honest. I mean, in the U.S., we have a moderate temperature here. There's no reason why you can't grow your own food or, distilling water is very easy to do. And it gets pretty much everything out of the water so that you have zero particles. And you can put minerals back in if you want, no big deal. But, fresh food, fresh water, sunlight.
Simple, right? Stick with nature.
Yeah, could be a very easy life. But are the people down in Australia, I know you guys went to the yoga studios and some of the restaurants. Do they look healthy? Do they appear vibrant?
Yeah, I would definitely say that they appear quite vibrant. I've always felt in any beach town I've visited that there's a sense of youthfulness that remains with people as they get older. Something about the nature of the culture when you're living near the beach and also just being around the water maybe has something or all to do with what David's mentioning about the electromagnetic force from the water.
Yes.
And yeah, it's pretty astounding. I'm not going to say they're quite as healthy as the people in Iceland, but I'll reserve my judgment until we spend some more time here, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Australia is really a fitness culture. Everyone, not everyone, but a very large proportion of Australians play recreational sport. And so people are very much into their fitness. In the morning, you see everyone running next to the beach. You see so many people doing their exercises to stay healthy. It just seems to be very much a part of the Australian way of life.
Yeah, that's really nice. I know for, amongst our group, it's so important to partake in your fitness activities, in your yoga, in your nutrition, in your raw foods, which I was going to talk a little bit about next, because we did write the book Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior, which is a book of guidelines to kind of follow if you're wanting to improve your health and increase your energy levels and just feel amazing. It's kind of a combination for me, and I'm sure Ryan would agree with me and the rest of you guys over there, that it's a combination of fitness, of getting out in nature, of meditation, of eating clean food, especially live foods, clean water. What am I missing, Ryan?
I mean, it's a little bit of everything, the whole holistic nature of health. I mean, even if you just take fitness, there's, the doing cardio aspect and the yoga and the Tai Chi and then the martial arts, the external yoga.
Yeah.
And, learning how to defend yourself, learning how to, properly react in different situations. And it's just amazing. So we'll get more with that after the break here on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior.
I only have eyes for you. Soon, store mannequins may be singing that tune. They're being outfitted with cameras to watch us while we shop. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back with details after this.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
It's disturbing enough that big brother governments use facial recognition technology to identify and track people on the streets. Now clothing companies in Europe, Canada, and America are getting in on the act. So where do they hide the cameras? In the eyes of mannequins. That's right, those glamorous plastic ladies in the display windows may be watching you back. They're called eye seers, and their job is to log the age, gender, and race of passersby, so retailers can devise new schemes to get you to buy. But hang on, aren't mannequins spooky enough already? This is taking weird science to a whole new level. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
You're listening to the Logos Radio Network at logosradionetwork.com.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. My name's Andrew Lichtenberger. I'm alongside David Burke in Sydney, Australia. My friends and fellow spiritual warriors, Lisa Wampole and Ryan Mietzler in Austin, Texas. And we were chatting about our travels just a moment ago. And I just wanted to mention one of the great dishes that we've tried so far was a raw mushroom and sunflower bread topped with avocado and sauerkraut. And yeah, that was at the Sadhana kitchen. And now that all your mouths are watering, Elisa, if you'd like to jump in and share some of your wisdoms about raw foods, please do.
Okay, sure. So David and I, over the course of 7 years, I suppose it was, wrote a book. And actually, it's funny because we used to have a radio show years ago, back in, I think, 2006. And we were just learning about raw vegan foods. And so we interviewed a number of experts about their experience with eating raw. And what is raw foods? Raw foods are things that are uncooked, or they're basically gently heated as long as they don't warm above about 118 degrees. Different people say different degrees, but 118.
And just for the listeners, it's all plant-based food. It's not
Well, that's what David.
You're not eating raw meat, going around eating roadkill off the road and not cooking it and eating it.
Yeah,
that's not a good nutrition suggestion.
The book was focused on raw vegan plant-based foods.
Right. And so a lot of people would come to us over the years, and want to know, how do you eat raw food? And especially being in the clinic with patients, people who had real tough diseases / imbalances. I found, and there's a lot of people out there who have found that when they improve their diet, that their disease symptoms diminish pretty dramatically. And so we use raw food detox diets often with people who are suffering from particular diseases or internal problems, or even joint pain. All these things improve so much when you do raw foods, specifically juices and drinking green juices. That's why when we're traveling around, David and Andrew and I are always on the lookout for a good juice bar where they have organic juice. And it's really important to get organic when you're doing juices, because if it's such a large quantity of vegetables you're putting in your system, if you're getting vegetables that are GMO or sprayed with pesticide, then you're just condensing all of that pesticide into your juice. So no one wants to drink a can of pesticides.
And on that subject, a very interesting article written by F. William Engdahl, Russia bans U.S. GMO imports. And this is the report. Russia is making a consequent in its decision last fall to ban the commercial planting of GMO in its agricultural acreage. The latest decision, effective February 15, 2016. A Russian national import ban on soybeans and corn imports from the United States took effect. The Russian food safety regulator announced the ban was because of GMO and of microbial contamination, and the absence of effective U.S. controls on soybean and corn exports prevent export of quarantinable grains. The Russian food safety regulator added that corn imports from the U.S. is often infected with dry rot or maize. In addition, he said corn can be used for GMO crops in Russia. So they're looking at the estimate of about 189 million annually will be the losses for the companies which are supporting the GMOs. And also in China, they're saying that China's government officially banned planting or licensing of GMO crops inside China's commercial agriculture. GMO has been inundating the country via a loophole that existed. Today, more than 60% of all soybeans consumed in China or used animal feed were GMO. And so you can see from a level politically, they're opening up very much for competition between both providers. And I always say, let everyone be educated and let them make their own decisions.
Very true. Yeah, it seems, unfortunately, though, most of the presidential candidates oppose the labeling of GMO.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, except for, it looks like there is an interesting quote here from Donald Trump, who tweeted out that possibly too much Monsanto in the corn creates issues in the brain for the Iowa caucus, but which was kind of humorous, I would say. But yeah, some of these other quotes I'm reading now from these other presidential candidates, I mean, you could see where they're bought and paid for. You know, I mean, Hillary Clinton has no desire to label GMOs.
Oh, Hillary was, David, what was the article I was showing you the other day about Hillary used to, I think, work with
yeah, I mean, you'd
Monsanto?
have to bring up the article, but
yeah, I'll have to bring it up.
It just shows Hillary's associations and affiliations with biotech companies. But, you know, the US has a very in-bed relationship between biotech and its Food and Drug Agency, which is heavily and well documented. You can go to naturalnews.com and type in searches on such things. However, in the other countries around the world, there's a huge support in Ireland for organic farming because, and same as in Australia, and a little unknown secret is a lot of the organic farming in the US, it doesn't actually go to US consumers. It's actually exported to European countries because the Europeans demand that type of quality of food for themselves. And so you find farmers in the US are doing quite well in growing for foreign countries, which have these standards and this more of a separation between big biotech and government.
So yeah, getting back to what Dr. Lisa brought up with Hillary Clinton, there is a Huffington Post article which basically details that the Clinton Global Initiative, which gathers leaders to solve the world's problems, promotes Monsanto, the maker of Roundup and Roundup Ready seeds. Hugh Grant, Monsanto's chairman and CEO, spoke at the Clinton Global Initiative conference in September of 2014. And Ms. Clinton's campaign advisor, Jerry Crawford, was a lobbyist for Monsanto for years and is now the political pro for her super PAC, Ready for Hillary. So, right there, you have a lot of connections between, her and Monsanto and GMO foods. So, it just doesn't seem many of these candidates are all that interested in actually, protecting what people eat. They're fine with, eating organic foods, as we've discussed on previous years. The Bushes and the Obamas are all having their own organic gardens, and yet they're fine with pushing this GMO Monsanto food on everyone else.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, it's very different around different parts of the world where people, and maybe it's because America is a very new country, and in other older countries, it seems people really seem to know the families to where, okay, Joe grows organic tomatoes, has grown tomatoes, and supplied the city or the town for hundreds of years. And when we speak to our colleagues and friends in India, India has supplied organically, before the population, even the word biotechnology came out, populations which are larger than the US. For many, many years, they have whole entire provinces in India where, because of their spiritual beliefs, it's illegal to have any type of pesticide or bio cross-contamination of the genes of plants. Just because that's the way that they see the world.
Yep, we'll get more into that after the break here on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior.
Easy.
Descends to the earth, a time where the mind is defined and confined. We the people need to realign with the divine. A government for the people, by the people realigns. No more taxation without representation. It's time for the people to have their say, no longer the prey. Aligned with truth, there's nothing we cannot do. Divide and conquer lies and false promises. These are the archonic weapons of hurtful decay. The abundance of the earth is the perfect technology, and the golden age is now. Rise together as one in peace and prosperity.
Hello, everyone. This is David Burke from live in Sydney, Australia, Coogee Beach, with Andrew Lucky Chewy Lichtenberger.
Hello, friends.
And our friends and colleagues in Austin, Texas, Dr. Elisa Wampole and Ryan Mutzel. And an article, we've been talking earlier about how other countries are creating the space for free market competition of organic foods, allowing organic foods to be grown, promoting local farming. In our book, Elisa and I wrote about the Victory Garden movement over Eleanor Roosevelt, where approximately over 7% of all food during that period of time was grown by people for themselves. Yeah, households. And now we're at a very, very small percentage. But an article here, Russia joins more than 30 other countries that ban the import of genetically modified crops. And when we look at the quote from Prime Minister Medvedev, the Russian country's prime minister, he really speaks, the free market, the idea of what America was based on. He says, if the Americans like to eat GMO products, let them eat them. We don't do that. We have enough space and opportunities to produce organic foods.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. And we could go on and on about why why GMO foods are bad, but I was going to mention this book, Genetic Roulette, The Documented Health Risks of Genetically Engineered Foods by Jeffrey M. Smith. And
there's a great movie too on that.
Yes, on YouTube, if you Google Jeffrey Smith's Genetic Roulette, there's I think it's only like a 20-minute segment that breaks it down, just basically all the health risks that are potentially linked with eating genetically modified foods. And it's pretty disturbing.
It's a very well-detailed book with a lot of studies from overseas. Many of these studies probably won't make it into the US market.
Right.
And when you look at the impact it's having for US businesses, medium to large businesses, it's saying here that US farmers have lost more than 427 million sales after China rejected the imports of US corn. And this is just going to keep ballooning. I mean, if, like the Prime Minister Medvedev of Russia said, if Americans want to eat GMOs, eat them. But the rest of the world is breaking away. And when we look at the quality of technology that's being shown by other countries at the moment, whether it's Russia with their military systems, their 400S missile systems, their S-35 planes, whether it's Japan that's considered to be the leader in electronics in the world at the moment. The US was always known for producing some of these types of cutting edge technologies. But it seems, leaning on supporting one perspective and not allowing the other perspective to have the space to grow and thrive and to pursue liberty, to pursue freedom, to pursue wisdom, knowledge is causing, as you can see, millions and billions of dollars in losses.
And aren't we subsidizing a lot of these farmers too to grow this GMO food that's now being rejected? And, it's like
That's
taxpayer
true.
money going to producing absolutely nothing if these countries aren't even buying it.
Yeah, we really have to look at what the whole world is moving towards when we, sit in a little cubicle office and, okay, you're getting your paycheck from some mega corporation. It doesn't mean that mega corporation internationally is going to be able to maintain its influence when you've got several other billion people being able to also vote.
And I think that's one reason why Austin's so successful is because there's so many local businesses here. And I think people understand the concept of supporting the local business.
Yeah, a lot of people rally around supporting local community in Austin. That's why I love being here so much, is because it feels, and I tell people this all the time, why do you like Austin? Because it feels like a community.
It felt like that in Iceland too. It seemed like they had a couple of these, I would say, multinational type corporations, which you tend to see everywhere. But for the most part, it was local businesses and not huge chains, you know?
Yeah, they got rid of the McDonald's, right?
Yeah, they did.
I was going to say our experiences in Australia seem to very much mirror that feel of Austin. A lot of small family-run businesses that have existed for decades in some cases, and yeah, it is a great thing because they're opening and maintaining these businesses because they care about themselves, their family, their community. They want to actually provide something of value, and it's not done with a purely profit-driven motive. It's done more out of the goodness of their heart because they actually believe in the initiative.
Yeah, looking at the initiative of Russia at the moment with the agriculture, they're introducing and drafting a bill called the Homestead Act. And what this will enable is for every Russian citizen to obtain 1 hectare of land or a maximum of 5 hectares for family 5 in the Russian Far East for free. And you heard it, for free. And they can use the land to farm.
Wow.
Or simply build a home and live. So when we look at the amount of homeless people we have in the US, in Los Angeles and New York, Los Angeles filing an emergency act to try and deal with the homelessness that was reported in articles in the downtown Los Angeles area. But meanwhile, we've got global competition on providing for people where Russia has said, would you like some free land and would you like to grow your own food and you would like to be sustainable and would you like to be free? Would you like to be independent? And when you see this type of movement going on around the world, it's only a matter of time to whether or not you decide in your community, like, if we don't adapt, if we don't follow these other global trends, we're going to be left out of the international market.
Yeah, that's very true. And just from personal experience with comparing the consumption of organic foods, specifically organic juice, to conventional juice, which I can't even say whether when you buy conventional, you don't know if it's genetically modified or not, or if it's sprayed with pesticide or not. But one particular patient of mine was improving hugely with her pain condition. And she was doing all raw foods and drinking organic juice. And then she decided that she was going to try to save money, and she was going to buy conventional produce and juice that. And she did that for about a month. And she said, my joint pain is coming back and I don't feel good. And I'm like, well, what are you doing differently? And she said, I've been buying conventional produce. And I said, go back to organic. And she did. And the joint pain went away. And she was back on her climb to health. So wow. I thought that was really telling of the difference.
Shows you the difference. Yeah, there's a lot of studies out there, too, that'll show you there's a lot higher vitamin mineral concentrations in organics, and obviously the GMOs you don't have to worry about, too. So there were several great books, actually, that some of your patients wrote, that actually can be picked up here at Brave New Books, showing their healing details. So I would say definitely come on down here to Brave New Books and check those out if you're interested in seeing how actual real-life individuals were able to take all this advice and knowledge that we've accumulated, implement it in their own lives, and were able to achieve their own healing results. Right, exactly. And, when you eat organic food, that's a great point, Ryan, is that you do get a higher concentration of vitamins and minerals. And Victoria Batinko's book, Green for Life, actually documents that. She has a chart in there about the comparison between conventional and organic produce and how many vitamins and nutrients are in each item. But in addition, if you eat raw food, you are also maintaining the vitamins and the minerals, because when you cook fruits and vegetables, they do lose some of their vitamins and minerals due to the high temperatures when you cook food. And so that's one of the reasons behind the idea of eating raw, is that you maintain the nutrients. They don't get denatured when you leave them raw, as opposed to when you cook them. And also the enzymes don't get torn apart either. They they stay intact and are helped to digest your food. Yeah, that makes so much sense. The scientific community in general, and a lot of the studies I'm reading at, UT doing my master's there, everyone seems to be focused on carbohydrate, protein, and fat, and optimal intakes of this. And no one really seems to be focusing on what I think is extremely important, is these smaller nutrients, the enzymes, the probiotics, the trace minerals, all these, vitamins, minerals, these little things. Everyone's like, oh, should I eat 30% protein? Should I eat 20%? And they're trying to mix around with all this stuff, not realizing that there's so many other things. I think, for me personally, the results that I've achieved, working with you guys, the patients, that it's these smaller trace elements and minerals that are really making the foundation. It's not as big of a deal if really what these makeups are, if the rest of your nutrition is there. That's true, and that's why it's so important to eat varieties. Yep, go ahead, David. Also, something that's really overlooked in our food but not overlooked in our technology is, in our technology, we're always talking about how much electromagnetic energy a battery has, because it can power your computer, it can power a car, it can power something. And when we look at our food supply, we don't think in the terms of energy. Well, many people don't, but there's a large movement that does, and in raw foods, it's definitely one of the things that are focused on. And in Chinese medicine, with herbal formulas, it's definitely something that's looked at. And it's the amount of energy, electromagnetic energy, chi energy, prana energy, life force energy in the food that you're eating. Because the idea is just like putting a battery into your car. If the battery is flat, it won't charge. But we'll talk about more of that after the break.
Hello, this is Dr. Elisa. Welcome back to the show. Just before the break, we were talking a little bit about raw foods and why, when you eat your foods raw, you maintain the high vitamin and mineral content and enzyme content. And also, if you believe in such things, the energetic imprint of the food. And in Chinese medicine, we call it qi. In yoga science, they call it prana. But Western science, I guess there's people talking about bioenergy. And we have Carillion photography, which actually takes pictures of the aura of certain plants. And they've taken pictures of cooked food and raw food. And the aura is definitely larger on the raw food items, especially specific raw food items that have tons of vitamins and minerals, like goji berries, for instance, have an incredible aura. And they're really nutrient dense. So we were talking a little bit about eating raw, and Andrew was saying on the break, well, let's tell people about what raw food is, because it's not necessarily just sitting around eating carrot and celery sticks. That's pretty boring. And we were laughing because in the beginning, David and I, we decided we're just going to do raw foods, and we did it for 3 days. And we felt incredible. If anyone ever wants to try just a 3-day raw food diet, you feel amazing. You feel so energized. But we were eating such boring food, and we were creating little like geometric designs on our plates with the celery and the carrot sticks and flaxseed crackers, trying to make it interesting because we didn't really understand how to make raw food flavorful and fun. And a lot of that is actually explained in our book, Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. We talk about raw food preparation and how to make it more interesting.
It's kind of evolved to the point now where Dr. Lisa gets stopped on the street by people asking about the raw vegan ice cream that we just had right before we were on the show here from the event we did at the Zach Theater, the Austin Universe show. Yeah. Which we'll have at the AT&T Center, it's looking like, this upcoming year, the weekend of August 27th, 28th. So be sure to check out austinuniverse.com.
Yes, we're updating those pages with the new information. But yeah, Ryan, just before actually the the show started, we were chatting with the folks doing the previous show and letting them taste our wonderful raw vegan cheesecake, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And someone said, well, how can it be cheesecake if it's not cheese? And we said, it's cashews. But it tastes, yeah, yep. Exactly. But there's an art to creating raw foods, but you can create raw pies, raw desserts, raw ice cream, raw burgers,
every taste and flavor. You can pretty much mimic anything, I've noticed.
Yes. And I guess there's a couple tools that you really need, which is basically a high-speed blender and
like a Vitamix? Would that be another good one?
Yes, a Vitamix, and then a food processor, like a Cuisinart food processor. Because what you end up having to do is to combine nuts or seeds or vegetables together in either a Cuisinart food processor where it's a little bit chunky, or in a blender to create sauces and to create burgers or patties. You need to kind of crush the food up together so that you can add the flavors together. Because when you're cooking, things kind of they cook and they become soft. And when you cook something on the pan, it becomes soft and the flavors mix together. Well, you're not cooking in raw foods, so you have to cut, chop, or blend so that the flavors mix together. So you can create things like seed cheese, which is one of my favorite things. And with the seed cheese, you can make a lot of different types of bases. For instance, I make an almond seed cheese, which is just you soak the almonds overnight. In the morning, you rinse them off and you put the soaked almonds inside of a Cuisinart. You add some lemon. You add maybe a little bit of olive oil and some sea salt, and you blend it up. And you may add a little bit of water depending on the consistency you want, but it becomes like a cream cheese. If you put it in the blender, it becomes smooth like cream cheese. You can actually make a really great cashew cream cheese. And that's how Ryan's pie was made, for instance. You put it in a high-speed blender with the cashews. But the seed cheese you can use as a base. I like to take seed cheese and spread it on romaine lettuce wedges, and then put chopped vegetables and fresh herbs and maybe some olives, maybe some sun-dried tomatoes. And you just combine things together. And usually some kind of fatty base with some avocado. Avocado is basically your best friend when you're eating raw foods. Andrew will attest to the avocado.
I'll confirm.
The avocado necessity. It's usually the first thing we do anywhere we go is try to find organic avocados. But raw foods doesn't have to be boring, and you don't have to eat actually like a rabbit. You can get creative. You can make... I love salads, so I do eat a lot of salads, but I put things in it that's interesting.
Your spirulina salad is quite amazing. Yeah. Something I make on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and most people think, spirulina on a salad, but I don't think I've ever served it to anyone that didn't like it. Even though it's really green and your whole entire mouth turns green and your teeth and your lips, And
so many nutrients, though. It's so filling.
It's so satisfying. And it got to the point with me, I was eating spirulina salads every morning, and my body just craved the spirulina. Because it was like, it's so nutrient dense. It's probably the most nutrient dense food I can think of.
How do you make that? What's a basic recipe for people listening?
So spirulina, there's actually, I think, a recipe on our website.
There's one in the book too, isn't there?
Yeah. BergSuperfoods.com in the blog section. But basically I usually take romaine lettuce and chop it, like maybe one head of romaine lettuce. And then I put one juiced lemon and a teaspoon to a tablespoon of spirulina. Maybe if you're first starting out, just a teaspoon, because the flavor of spirulina is, some people might think it's odd. But when you mix it with the lemon, it gives it this cheesy flavor, which is pretty incredible. You have to put a nice dose of salt on there, a generous portion of salt, sea salt.
The hemp seed oil works too.
Hemp seed oil is great. Yeah, you want to put some kind of oil on there and then because you mix it all up together, and the oil and the lemon and the spirulina and the salt kind of create this creamy sauce dressing. I like to add hemp seeds also because it gives it a little more texture. And then if you want, you can add some tomatoes or chopped bell peppers, red bell peppers, or herbs. A lot of the time I'll sprinkle different types of herbs from my herb cabinet on there, thyme or rosemary or which is whatever I'm in the mood for. But that's pretty. Oh, and goji berries, a handful of goji berries sometimes too, because it's good to use a little bit of each flavor, a little sour, a little sweet, a little salty, mix it all together, and it makes an amazing party in your mouth. It's awesome. But yeah, that's basically the spirulina salad. It's so filling. Oh, and avocado. Gosh, hold on. You must add the avocado. That's the most important part.
Right, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because the avocado gives it that fatty consistency. And when you mix it all together, it kind of like soaks up the spirulina and the lemon and the salt, and it just makes it really tasty. So yeah, spirulina salad. Awesome. So good for you. And so filling.
Very true. And then for dessert, I love the chocolates that are very easily made with, it's actually one of the most simple recipes. You just have the raw cacao powder, some coconut oil, and then the Lohan extract.
Yeah.
A little pinch of Himalayan salt. You just mix all of it in a bowl. And I usually use, I think it's like two cups of the cacao powder, 1 cup of the coconut, and like a half to 1 cup of the Lohan, depending on how sweet you want it.
Yeah.
And then you just put some salt in there, throw it in your freezer, and in 5 minutes, it's ready to go. And
yeah.
I've taken it to different parties here in Austin, and people don't know it's, raw, vegan, no sugar, and they absolutely love it and healthy. And then I've actually if you let it sit out, it turns into like a pudding-ish. And so I left it last time to like, there were chips and there were some like celery sticks and carrot sticks. So people were like dipping it.
Oh my gosh.
And absolutely were like blown away by how it was. It was really good. It's really, really rich though. So you actually don't need a lot of it to kind of fulfill your chocolate sugar need that your body is attempting to get.
Yes.
So just an amazing recipe right there. That's also in the Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior book. Except I think you guys have the agave, which we've now switched over to wanting to do more of the Lohan because it's less actual sugar, a lot lower glycemic, and I think it tastes a lot better than the stevia, actually.
Yeah, I tried making David a birthday cake one year.
Stevia
was. But go ahead, David.
There's a section of the book that discusses the Lohan and stevia and green stevia as you can use to be a substitute for things like agave nectar, coconut nectar. Interesting thing with Chinese medicine is monk fruit Lohan was taken as a blood builder in Chinese medicine and was used by the monks. And after they would exercise, they would have a sweet craving. And so they would take this herb and their sweet craving would go away. And the idea of the herb is that it builds your blood so your body starts to replenish itself. And so then you feel like having something more of the savory flavor or the alkaline flavor.
And all those products are available at Brave New Books here off of Guadalupe if you are in Austin, Texas, or worldwide you can order through BerkSuperfoods.com. So the Lohan we talked about, the cacao powder, pretty much everything we've discussed in the recipes except the actual fruits and vegetables and then the coconut oil, but all the herbal supplements are available there.
Yeah, we want you to grow your own produce. I would love to have an avocado tree.
I mean, everyone should,
farmer.
Yeah, everyone should learn how to create enough space for life to exist. And that's what I see the art of growing food is you realize that, nature is incredibly intelligent. It is the technology we've all been looking for. And you create enough space and nature forces its way into that space and you grow food, things that you can eat. And it's a balance of sunlight, it's a balance of water, it's a balance of seasons. And you learn more about yourself because, you are nature also. And once you grow your own food, then you you really understand the quality of food that comes onto your dinner table. And you realize how, if you take care of your food and you grow your own food in a way where using quality materials and quality nourishment for the plant, then the food tastes really amazing. But if you're using, low quality types of nourishment for the plant, then the food, of course, tastes the same. The old saying, like maybe with humans, you are what you eat. Maybe with plants, it's the same thing. They are as healthy as they eat also.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense that it would be that way. The micro and the macro represent one another.
Yeah, that's all very true. I mean, what you put in your body ends up manifesting itself, I think, on the outside. So if you put good, clean, healthy foods into your body, you're going to look good. You put, a lot of non-stuff from nature, maybe you won't feel good. So more with that here after the break on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Hello, everyone. This is David Burke from Sydney, Australia, Coogee Beach, with Andrew Lucky Chewy Lichtenberger.
Hello, friends.
It is 8:19 a.m. in the morning here. We are space-time traveling and our colleagues in Austin, Texas, Dr. Elisa Wampole and Ryan Mutzel.
Hey, guys.
Going in earlier, we had a bit of a chat about raw foods and the incredible experiences you get from when you begin to understand flavoring and being able to combine foods together that are very nutritious and nutrient dense. And I think we've been experimenting, Lisa, with raw plant-based foods for close to 10 years now. And every day, I think I find a new flavor to make something. Like, I don't think I've ever had the exact same dish.
Yeah, it's true. You can cook food, but it's still food, whether it's cooked or uncooked. So, there's so many herbs and spices and we actually went to the botanical garden one day, Amy Chang and me, and we went to the herb garden, and we probably weren't supposed to be doing this, but we were picking pieces of the herbs and tasting them all. Because
try before you grow.
Yeah, exactly. We just tried a little tiny bit, but there's so many types of plant foods and herbs. There's such a huge variety, and people forget that there's so many flavors in nature, and they don't have to just, flavors don't come from a packaged food item. They come from nature. So, and when you mix them together.
At least you're referring to the botanical gardens in Melbourne. They had a research area there where I think it was a couple of 100,000 different types of herbs and plants identified there, being unique.
Yes, they had a whole place dedicated to the study of herbs, which was kind of cool. We didn't actually get to go inside. It was closed when we went, but they called it the herbarium or something. And it was cool.
It's amazing how many types of things exist. Like we got into the show a few weeks ago about how many different types of avocados, and yet how few are actually available in most commercial grocery stores in comparison to with what's out there and what is possible and what is being grown, just not in mass production for the general public.
Yes, that's true. We went to this really great food co-op in Dublin when we were there last week. And I bought this package of baby avocados. They're really tiny and they're really tasty, actually. But they don't typically sell baby avocados around, but they were really good. And it was awesome to see that the organic movement had some momentum in Dublin as well. And it was great. The store had everything. All the produce was organic. They just said, whatever you pick is organic. Not like when you go to some of the supermarkets and you have to still pay attention. It's a health food store, but you still have to look and see, is it conventional or is it organic? The organic, by the way, start with the number 9, and they have 5 digits. That means it's an organic food item.
Conventional, I think, just has 4. Is that correct?
Yeah, it usually starts with a 3 or 4, sometimes an 8. Even then, if it says it's organic, unless you're really buying it from the farmer and you know the farmer, you just can never really be too sure. But we do our best.
Yeah. Till we have our own farm, I guess you have to put a little trust into organic labeling.
True. And David, you had some other topics you wanted to get into. Andrew?
Yeah. An interesting in Australia, trending at the moment is Pine Gap and UFO disclosure is going on in Australia, discussions and theories. And in Pine Gap is considered to be the secret Area 51 style base of Australia. And it's rumored by the locals in the area that sometimes you get these visitors who are possibly from off-world, and they actually stop in the local pub and have a beer, and they look just like us. One of the funny rumors, and that were circulating from locals. But it's really picking up a lot of momentum in Australia as these secret Pine Gap military defense documents were being released, and there's 8,500 pages revealing apparently UFO sightings and alien abductions across Britain, Norway, and Australia. So whether this is something that's going on, or one had to write out 8,500 fake documents to get a discussion going on investing in technology for a possible alien threat, I don't know. But Australia has a very exciting UFO history, and Australia being such a large country with so much open space, a lot of the testing for different types of aircraft and different types of flying technologies have been done in Australia for a very long time. And when we've been looking at the movement of possible discussions on UFOs, aliens, is it true or not? There's a fascinating YouTube website, UFO TV, and it's the UFO TV Disclosure Movie Network. And when you begin looking at the size of the interest by the public, you've got approximately 400,000 subscribers to these videos. And they claim that people have watched over 1 billion minutes of footage. And it has everything from testimonies on the physical evidence of watches. It has secrets of UFOs, Kennedy, Nixon, secret archaeology around the world that may be showing ancient technology. Absolutely fascinating channel. And these are all documentaries there. There's about 50 of them going for about an hour and a half each.
Wow, that is fascinating.
There's a lot of information out there. When you're talking about Pine Gap, where is that? Is that right smack in the middle of Australia? I just did a Google search on the Google Maps to see where it is, and it looks like it says Pine Gap Facility, Australia. It looks like it's right in the middle where there's really not a whole lot going on from what I've
Pine
understand.
Gap is the Northern Territory of Australia, kind of near the center.
Yeah.
And it's been a research area jointly used by both Australia and the United States. And it's a part of the Joint Defense Facility. And the facility has approximately over 800 employees. And nobody really knows. The general public doesn't really know what goes on, but the general public does pay the bills in Australia for Pine Gap, and those bills are rather large.
They're calling it the Area 51 of Australia, which I think is quite humorous.
Yeah, there's a lot of fascinating rumors, even rumors of an underground speed trains that go all the way to London or to Canberra. I've never traveled on one of these speed trains, so I don't know whether it is true or not. But it's a fascinating place, and a lot of the intelligence and signal gathering goes on in Australia and the Eastern Hemisphere is from this area.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some pictures. They have some large round balls, and it looks. I don't know what I guess I don't know what they're for. They look like giant golf balls, actually. On the internet,
I believe those are the areas where they're collecting the signal that's being passed between people's telecommunications.
Oh, wonderful!
And
that's it. Yeah, well,
unfortunately, you are not able to visit. You can't go on a tour like you go to the museums and the libraries. But there are apparently approximately 14 concealed antennae beneath those white domes at Pine Gap, and it's thought that the U.S. controls its spy satellites from Pine Gap, and they call it the Listen to Asia project. So that's where they can have a listen into what's going on in our neighboring Asian countries from Australia. And we're about to go on to our next break, and we'll chat a little bit more about Pine Gap and possible disclosure.
Candy, soda, and cupcakes may please your taste buds, but did you know that binging on sugar can slow down your brain? I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll share new research showing how sweets may dumb you down next.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Attention sugar junkies, if snarfling sweets and guzzling soda is your thing, I've got some not-so-sweet news for you. A new study shows a diet high in fructose could make you dumber in just a few short weeks. UCLA researchers gave lab rats fructose in their drinking water while training them how to navigate a maze. After 6 weeks of sucking sugar, the dazed animals began to struggle. In fact, their overall brain function diminished noticeably. Still want that fudge sundae? Then eat plenty of foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Rats who ate omega-3s zipped through that maze much faster than those that didn't. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
We'll be kidding about chemtrails.
Live Free Speech Radio, LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Hello there. This is Dr. Lisa. Welcome back to the show, Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. And just before our break, we were talking about Pine Gap in Australia. But there's actually so many unusual, interesting places in the world that have unexplained things, unexplained landscapes, unexplained pieces of architecture. Another one that's kind of interesting is Easter Island, where they have these giant human heads on the coastline. And they are these monolithic statues that stand 13 feet high and weigh 14 tons. Some are twice as tall and much heavier. And so they're wondering, how could human beings without sophisticated tools or knowledge of engineering craft and transport such huge structures? And so a lot of people, there's a story about that I heard somewhere that this alien race came down and visited the people that lived on Easter Island, and then they left. And the people on Easter Island somehow erected these giant statues to face heaven and bring them back, whatever they were. But it's interesting because I don't know how people had the technology to move such giant rocks. Same with the place in England. What's it called? With the
Stonehenge.
giant, Stonehenge. Yeah. I wish we had visited Stonehenge when we were there, but we'll get there eventually. I actually went there as a child, and I remember when I was a kid, my father looking at me, who's a very mainstream guy, dentist, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Nobody knows who put these here, but some people think it was aliens." And I remember looking at my dad, because I always just saw him as being this person that was very realistic, I guess. And, I thought, wow, Dad's saying that aliens maybe put these here. That's pretty crazy. Well, that might be a thing. That might be real, if my dad's saying it. But I remember being there as a child. Everything is so magical and colorful when you're a child. I think I was about 5 or 6 when I was there. And I just remember there was an eerie feeling, an eerie energy about the place of Stonehenge. It was definitely bizarre walking around.
A good energy or bad energy?
No, not good or bad. It just felt unusual. It felt different.
Sedona is very much like that. There's some amazing places in Sedona, Arizona.
Yes, indeed. So someone was going to say something, David?
Oh, I was just saying the energy at Stonehenge, was it kind of like a thickness, like a presence almost that you could feel? Something had at some point in there that was possibly strong or vibrant, maybe is a good word.
Yeah. It was a strong energy. And similar to Arizona, where they say in Sedona, where the ley lines are, which is kind of like where the energy pathways cross. And I'm a sensitive individual, but I feel the energy in Arizona, in Sedona, when I'm there. Sometimes I've even woken up in the middle of the night and I just feel my whole body's lit up like a Christmas tree, just electrified. There's so much energy there.
Barton Springs here in Austin has a little bit of that to it.
Yeah.
I think it was a former either Indian, place. And you can definitely feel a different type of energy that's there when you're there. Very much more connected, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's all this science out there and there's all this mainstream, but then there's your instincts and what you feel. And, I can feel the energy in Sedona is different. And just when you go to some of these ancient sites, it's just kind of, you can't explain it, but there's something unusual about it. And it just feels like, there's something unexplainable in the world that, must have existed. There's so much more to life and truth than just what we see and read about. Any other interesting spots?
When you've been looking at people's folklore, people's mythologies, all these type of stories, how many things we've heard in ancient folklore and mythologies are now normal in our sciences, in our technology? And, whether groups from other planets exist or not, it's definitely a lot of discussion about it in our folklore, in our mythologies, in our ancient religious texts. And now they've got so much discussion about it by the scientific and academic sector. And, a lot of people also are saying, like, okay, if we say there's life on different planets or there's, alien life here, what a great way to create a new tax. We need to monitor that. And so now we have the Alien Monitoring Fund emergency tax. And because they're interdimensional, we don't know where they are. They could be all around us. So we need all this money to investigate such things.
Very cool. We actually, I was going to say, let's say we have a caller here. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, well, maybe they are actually, they are here. And they're like, how do I get myself a smoothie? But they don't know where to go there.
Get a beer at the pub.
Yeah. But, we don't know, but it's a fascinating trend at the moment. It's one of the most talked about subjects is ufology, exopolitics at the moment. And Ryan, you're saying we have a caller at the moment?
Yeah, you want to go to the caller, Lisa?
All right. Hello, welcome to the show. Who's calling in?
Hi, this is Austin. How's it going? Hi, Lisa.
Great.
What's up, Austin?
Hey, Ryan. I love you guys. Long time.
We love you too. What's new in your world?
Oh, I was just calling in to touch base and say hello to everyone and just kind of update everybody as to the vegan beef team that I've got together, a team of all vegan bodybuilders. And tell you how excited we are come August 29th to be in the INVA Natural Universe. It's going to be super excited. I've got a bunch of people that are just really nipping at the bit to be there. So it's very exciting.
Beautiful. It's great. We're really looking forward to having you, Austin, at the event. You bring such a great light and a great enthusiasm for fitness. And I heard that you were attempting to go for a 1-minute rowing record. How did that turn out?
Very exciting. An hour ago or less, probably 45 minutes, I just broke a new world record in the 1-minute time on the indoor rowing world database. So I'm super excited about that. I had an American record of 368 meters, and today I got that extra meter that pushed me over the top to make a world record. So very excited.
Congratulations.
Good job, Austin.
Excellent.
That's great.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's been a new it's possessed me. Like a long time ago when I was getting ready for the plant-built all-vegan bodybuilding team, I'd done 3 shows in a row, and I started to develop a little bit of an AC joint, a shoulder injury, just from all the pressing movements in a quest to get my chest bigger. And I decided to take a little breather from bodybuilding and just investigate other forms of exercise. And I've done ultra marathons, 24-hour races. I actually won my last one with 115 miles for my 24-hour time. So super excited about that, too. I love ultra marathons. So it's an out-of-body experience, very transcendental. But this rower has caught my eye. And I said, well, I wonder what that's all about. So about 2.5 years ago, I got on that rower and started playing with it and then realized that there was a database and that all these universities and rowing teams all over the world, from Ireland and England and Australia, all use the same rowing machine. And there's a way of solidifying your data through an app that you hook to your phone, and it pumps the information up into the cloud so you can have verifiable data. So from that point on, I've just been possessed. So I have an American record in the 100-meter, a world record now, and then I'm 1/10 of a second away from a world record in the 500 meters. So I just
awesome. That's great. Congratulations, Austin. We'll chat with you more here after the break about your success.
Oh, great. Okay.
Hello, everybody. This is Andrew Lucky Jerry Lichtenberger alongside David Burke in Sydney, Australia. My friends Elisa Wampole and Brian Mutzel are in Austin, Texas. And just before the break, we were chatting with Austin Barbich about his successes in the health and fitness industry. And Austin, if you'd like to continue sharing your story, please do.
Well, thanks, Andrew. It's good to hear your voice again, too. Hope I'll be seeing you really soon, too.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
So you were telling us about the machines.
Yeah, the rowing machine, the Concept 2 rowing machine. I'm a personal trainer, and I have a lot of my clients use this machine as well because I realize that it's just such a great way to incorporate explosive muscle fibers, fast twitch fibers, but also getting into an aerobic aspect. It kind of almost covers the rainbow of muscle all the way through heart and back. And I think that it's an incredible tool for conditioning. And I'm addicted. It's the only thing that has made me vomit about every third time I try a record. And
wow, Austin, you are hardcore.
Natural congel.
When you see a record and you're looking at the pace and you're just holding on and it's starting to burn more and more, your chest is burning, but you just see that number and you know what you've got to do. It is such a carrot just dangling in front. So, yeah, I've been trying so hard to try to make this happen. And with bodybuilding, I'm used to doing just crazy workouts, drop sets and running around, doing all kinds of different ways of stimulating muscle fibers. And I sweat a lot, breathe heavy, but I've never gotten that nauseous response, of the actual full body toxicity from rowing. Like I'm just teeming in lactic acid. It's in every fiber. So I could just effervesces every part of me. So my body does whatever it can, to try to get that out. So yeah. One time I was going for oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say for our listeners, I know you've called into the show before, but just throw it out there one more time. Austin is a vegan athlete, all vegan. And how long have you been vegan for, Austin?
I'm a vegan for almost 3.5 years.
Okay.
And I've been
and you feel better, yeah?
I feel so much better. Yeah, I started lifting weights when I was around 18 years. I'm 47 years old now.
And he looks great, by the way. You wouldn't know he's 47.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm staying out of the sun and eating clean. I think it's keeping the skin good.
Yeah, yeah.
But I used to be a lot more sore. My intensity is greater than it was in my 20s. I've really learned how to get into that muscle and really, really hurt myself in a good way when it comes to running and lifting weights. And I used to be sore for 4 or 5 days in my 20s and in my 30s. And when I went vegan, that is one thing I really, really, really noticed. So, I'd heard vegans say, oh, I'm more alkaline now. Man, I'm not as acid. I'm like, oh, God, yeah. It's another one of those things. And then when I finally did, I'm like, oh, my God, I am more alkaline. I really am not as sore. So I think that's one of the things that attributes to the world record is because you have to row pretty consistently, which means you have to heal pretty rapidly in order to continue to build the mitochondria up, to get that oxygen-carrying cells going, to adapt to the change. You need to heal faster. And I think that's one reason steroids are so popular for people. They take steroids and they heal really fast, but there's so many repercussions to that route.
Yes.
But being able to heal really fast and rapidly has really helped me in my long distance running. After a 24-hour race, a day and a half later, I'm running around on the floor training my clients. And the year prior, before turning vegan, I was just dragging. I mean, I was in bed for almost 3 days, and it was a mission just to go to brush my teeth or go to the bathroom.
And this is running for 24 hours straight?
Yeah. I'm really into those. I think on my birthday, I'm going to try a 48-hour. Which
Oh my
what that
gosh.
will be is I'll have to incorporate rest stops. But there's a race called the Ultra Centric that's in Grapevine, Texas. And I've been really very interested in doing that because there's not many races that are over 24 hours. And on the 24-hour races, I don't sit down. I walk and run the entire time.
Wow.
I stop for just seconds to fill up my bottle, and then I'm off because I'm always fighting. I'm always racing the clock because I tell myself I can always walk, but sitting down just isn't an option. So that kind of
and you've had success in so many areas, Austin. It's pretty amazing because you're doing the marathons and then you've achieved success in bodybuilding and now the rowing, which is mostly an anaerobic, like sprint exercise. So, I mean, you're really showing how a vegan athlete can excel in almost any of these areas.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I get bored and I like to try different things. And I think this the vegan diet has made an absolute utter change. I mean, it's really allowed me to be even more adaptable to change. And I think my body remodels faster. I think that
Just curious, Austin, what do you eat before your 24-hour race? And do you eat during your race?
I do. I usually just rely on a carbohydrate electrolyte fluid. I'm not eating solid foods during a run. So I'll get something like Vitalite. So it's just this brand. I bought it at REI. It'd probably be better for me, really, to have coconut water and dates, something very simple and very real and natural. But the last 2 races, I've just done this electrolyte carbohydrate mix, essentially like a Gatorade, but better. It doesn't have quite as much junk in it. Coloring and all that. I mean, that's all kind of garbage, but I think, like Scott Jurek has said, like when you're running, you need carbs. You just need sugar. You don't need heavy proteins. You don't need fats. Sometimes he talks about taking in fats. I don't. I think the body's really interested in something very simple and very easy to assimilate. So I sip on that the whole time. I have a little bottle in my left hand that straps around my hand, and I just run with that. And then I'll do, this is a kilometer loop, 24-hour race, so I'll go around 3 or 4 kilometers, then I'll just top off my drink. I have a little cooler on the side of the track, and I'll just fill it up real quick, and I'll just keep going again. I have to go around 3, 4, 5 times, and fill it up again, and I just sip all the way around. And sometimes, I pretty much usually get the mixture right, but sometimes I'll have to ask someone to put just a little bit more carbohydrate in with the water. Just if I'm taking it the water to carbohydrate ratio, I'm always kind of feeling that in my body to make sure if I'm sweating a whole lot. It affects the ratio of how fast I'm losing my electrolytes. If it's cold, I'm pretty much holding on to my electrolytes, so I don't want to get puffy and overdo it. So I just rely on more water. And when it gets hot, I take in a little bit more electrolytes.
So Austin, a question. How much do you think your sports performance has improved since you've been vegan these last 3 years? I mean, were you breaking world records in this rowing before that? Like, what is... have you always been at this level, or is this nutrition actually, in your experience, may contribute to these successes?
Well, I've always been a little crazy when it comes to excessive sports, but on my website on austinbarbish.com, it links to a blog, and it kind of starting at the very bottom of the page. It's the first day or when I'm about to turn vegan, and I've got some stuff basically saying my 100-mile time with the year prior to going vegan. I did, I think it was 24 hours and 35 minutes. I ended up taking 27 minutes off of my time the next year, which is really significant in a 100-mile race to do the exact same race the next year. And I was going to try to break my 12-hour record. 60-point-something miles was just over because it's in kilometers. The next year when I went vegan, I was going to break the 12-hour time. But what I decided to do is just go for the 24-hour, and I actually broke my 12-hour time. I did 61 and a half miles on my way to continuing to almost breaking the course record for the 24. So that's when the veganism really kicked in. I'm like, okay, let's do this. The body's really clearing these toxins. It really knows what to do. It's adapted. So that's when I really knew, like, there's something really major about this. And my weightlifting goals, I've broken every record. I keep all my workout sheets. Right now I'm looking at a big pile of workout sheets, and I started tracking since 2010. I have workout sheets to go past that, but I have a specific 5-day workout where I do shoulders, arms, legs, chest, and back. Those are all 5 separate days of the week that I train, and I have all these machines, and I have records for the machines, and I circle a record, whether it be a certain weight in reps or a certain max lift. And I'm really, that's my carrot dangling in front of me. I'm always trying to break a record. And the first few weeks after I went vegan, I found it a little hard to keep up. Then I realized it was just my carbohydrates. I wasn't eating enough carbohydrates. And as soon as I started taking more carbohydrates, then I just continued to break my records all the way through. So I broke a record last week where I deadlifted 405 for 4 reps, picked it off the ground, and did 365 for 11 reps. And that was 4 or 5 reps over. I think that was 4 reps over what I had done at my very best when I was 190 something pounds. I'm a lot lighter now, so my strength to weight ratio has gotten a whole lot better, and it's really fun to do that at 47 because for all practical purposes, I should be losing my testosterone. I should be releasing less growth hormone, but I beg to differ.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
I'm not going to.
That's amazing. Congratulations, Austin, and for breaking the rowing world record. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yay! We're going to party tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, we're coming near the end of the show. Everyone, thanks for joining us today. Andrew and David from Sydney. Say goodbye to our audience, guys.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
We'll speak to you next week.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. And we are going to go and sample some of Sydney's plant-based breakfasts.
Beautiful. If you're here in Austin, Texas, come down to Brave New Books. Check out Roger Stone, the book signing here from 7 to 9. Texas did beat Oklahoma in basketball, if you're into that. And until next time, this is Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior on the Logos Radio Network. This is Ryan Metzel.
Elisa Wampole.
Andrew Lichtenberger.
David Burke.
Have a great day.
Austin Barbie.